Hello there, this is Brandon with Bulldog Rooter. Today's date is September 21st, 2017. It's about 9:45 in the morning. What we're looking at right now is the main sewer line for the address 120 West Sussex Avenue here in Spokane, Washington. We're out here about 75 feet, and what we're actually looking at right now is where the main line for the house connects into the main city sewer. So what kind of pipe we're looking at here looks to be like either concrete. Actually, yes, this is concrete. And so basically what we're going to be doing now is we're going to pull back and take a look at pretty much the whole sewer pipe for this house. So like I said before, we're at about 75 feet right here. Got a pretty decent looking concrete hub right there. Circle back a little bit more. Maybe a little bit of a teeny tiny separation right here, but it stair steps down, so it's not too big of a deal. What we mean by separation is you can kind of see at the top of the pipe where you can actually see more of a gap than you should, you know. That's what we call separation, and when it stair steps down like that, you know, when the actual separation is at the top of the pipe and the water just kind of has almost like a little waterfall to flow through, we don't really, we don't really care about those too much, just because it's not preventing the flow of water or anything else. This, like, we're actually in concrete right now, so part of this line is concrete. Right here we are holding water because there is actually a flat spot right here, kind of meaning that, you know, poop flows downhill. You got to have the right grade to where water flows downhill via gravity. When you don't have the right amount of grade, which is a quarter of a foot per linear square foot, you know, you just kind of have all this standing water. The water obviously will drain out eventually. It's the toilet paper, the poop, the grease, you know, everything that's flushed down this line that doesn't flow out, and it creates more of a sludgy blockage. Right here is another separation. As you can see by my camera, it stair steps down quite a ways, so it's not too big of a deal. Right here is where we transition into a material called Orangeburg. Orangeburg was put in through the 40s, through the, I believe, mid-70s, to kind of conserve on iron for other needs in the world at the time. It's compressed wood pulp and tar paper, and it is absolute, you know, garbage, really, in present day, just because it deteriorates so quickly. You know, being wood pulp and tar paper, you know, those two things kind of don't mix very well with water. So basically the first step of this thing starting to deteriorate is you can kind of see just directly right in front of the camera right here. You see how I'm kind of hitting that little bump right there? That's what we call a bulb or blister. That's the first state of it deteriorating. As you can kind of see on the sides too, like right here, we ripped off a big blister right there. That's kind of what happens when we cable this, or, you know, if anyone cable it with any sort of machine, you know, it's going to rip layers off because it's just such soft material, and we're going in there with a steel blade. So obviously we ripped quite the blister off there. We kind of just have a little hole sitting there now, not necessarily a hole that we can see ground through, but, you know, just a little bit of a layer ripped off. Back a little bit more. Right here we kind of have a teeny tiny bit of ovalization, which is the next step in this pipe's deterioration. It's really not too bad right here. You know, it's obviously not about to collapse right there or anything like that. It's just not too good to see it kind of hitting those stages. A little bit of roots, obviously not at the bottom of the pipe, maybe covering 10% of the pipe, not too big of an issue. Like a little leftover sludge. It's part of the Orangeburg. It's not looking terrible. Besides, there's a blister there. Another one there. A couple more up here. Yeah, almost looks like there is kind of, if you can see it, my camera just hit the right angle, kind of on the bottom right hand side of the screen, kind of corner. You can kind of see that cracking right there. I do believe that is a stress fracture in the pipe. Maybe where a blister used to be, and we kind of just came in here and ripped it off. You can kind of see almost like that crater right there. Go back a little bit more. As you can kind of see, this crack is still just following us up the pipe right there a little bit, and then it kind of stops. So that is kind of a concern for me, just because the material that it is, not necessarily saying that it's going to collapse. This seam right here does look to be ovalized as well. As you can kind of see, it just lost its round shape. Those little white glimpses that you're seeing as well is just sewer gas or methane coming back from the main city sewer. So we're at about 45 feet now. Really not seeing too many issues. A couple blisters here and there, a couple little stress fractures here and there, but nothing too crazy. Right here does look to be like a really kind of a big blister in the forming. I think we may have ripped the top of it off. As you can see, it just looks like a layer got peeled off right there. That's kind of why this we're catching up with all the problems today, is just because this stuff deteriorates so slowly. It is very rare for us to see a perfect Orangeburg sewer line. Right there, a little bit of a blister as well. See, we're at about 40 feet now. Pulling back up. Grade-wise, like I was talking about earlier in the video, this looks fine. It's obviously draining out well. That seam looks a teeny tiny bit ovalized, nothing major to worry about. Mainly it's just the bulbing, there's another bulb or blister right there that my camera can pop right over. That's, kind of the first state of it deteriorating. I'm super happy that those roots haven't quite made their way in there yet. They can get a lot bigger in diameter and cause a lot more problems. So honestly, I'd probably recommend like either a 6-month to a year maintenance, just to kind of stay on top of it, make sure the diameter of those roots stay down so they're not creating bigger holes in the pipe. Go back a little bit more. That seam does look to be a little bit ovalized, maybe off shape on the bottom, but the seam itself looks fine. A couple blisters on the side there. Another big blister right there. Another one there. We're pulling up about 25 feet now. And then this right here is pretty beat up right there. As you can see the bulbing, and it kind of starting to ovalize right there. Not necessarily something that needs to be replaced, just kind of something to keep an eye on. I'd probably have another one of these video inspections done in the next year or two to kind of keep up on the pipe. Coming up on 20 feet now, should be transferring back into cast iron that's only found inside the house, out to the foundation wall. Ooh, right here this seam looks to be getting a little ovalized as well. As you can just kind of see, it turns into more of an oval shaped rather than a the nice circle that we like to see. So yeah, again, Orangeburg is super common in the shadle area too. About 15 feet now, coming up on 10. Looks to be another bulb right there. And right here, about 11.5 feet, we transfer back into cast iron that's inside the house, or just outside the foundation wall. Appears to be fine, little scaling, little rust, nothing to save from some old cast iron. Looks very good for cast iron. And this right here is the clean out in the basement of the house that we were working out of. Again, that address was 120 West Sussex, I believe it's Court, here in Spokane, Washington. And that was Brandon with Bulldog Rooter as well, and thank you for choosing the Bulldog Rooter.